This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios in Kokomlemle, Accra. A digital address GA0993341 is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telisol 4G, just a touch. And coming up, more than 20,000 Ghanaians dying every year from poisonous fumes.
We do have a national standards for vehicle emissions. Your vehicle will have to go through some remedial process to ensure that the engine is fixed before you can be brought back onto the road. The standard certainly will be adopted this year in June.
We'll hear from the Environmental Protection Agency that has begun a nationwide clampdown on vehicles contributing to the pollution and speak to the police MTTD on enforcement to curb such emissions. Also, government insists it cannot be blamed for the importation of hundreds of guns for private use as fresh documents showing recent approval goes viral.
This country has a legal regime that governs the use of arms or the importation of arms, and for those who have justifiable reason so to import or to use arms. But as at now, that general audit is ongoing of all the permits that have been issued, and as and when that is done, any additional information will be made available.
We will tell you more as government reveals it is yet to decide whether to ban the importation of arms for private use. Also, Parliament's Gender Committee to hold Interior and Gender Ministers for the latest update on missing Takoradi girls as it calls on the police CID to focus on finding the girls.
There should be more action rather than holding press conferences, press briefings and talking. This time, I hope that they will give the whole nation a briefing because they will give the whole house a detailed account of what has happened, what the police is doing.
Meanwhile, government fends off public criticism against police service for failing to provide regular updates on search of the 3 missing girls, saying too much information could compromise investigations.
The police and the security agencies tell us that they've had a lot of information which they're already working with. We are informed that putting out too much information at this point on what they are doing could compromise the ongoing efforts.
And in sports,
Kumasi Asante Kotoko are alleged to have bribed the referee in the ongoing special competition, but the club has denied. What's the real story? We'll be in Kumasi for updates on that bribery allegation.
And later,
are you allowed to like Shatawale and Stoneboy? Because I like them both. That's good.
And you have to choose one, Stoneboy or Shatawale.
Stoneboy.
that doesn't work.
Stoneboy Wally.
British High Commissioner has the perfect answer as he's asked to choose between the 2 top dancehall artists, Shatawale and Stoneboy. We've got more. Kindly stay. Thanks for your company. I'm Bernice Abubeidulansa. The details now. 20,000 Ghanaians die each year due to air pollution. That's according to the World Health Organization, and many vehicles unfortunately contribute to this pollution through emission of poisonous exhaust fumes, an obstacle to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal of good health. Now, the Environmental Protection Agency has vowed that from June this year, clamp down on vehicles emitting dangerous fumes. Henry Kwesibedu has more in this report.
Dangerous fumes. Exposure of carbon monoxide can cause headaches, dizziness, nausea and fatigue. Overexposure, however, could lead to death. Unfortunately, many vehicles and motorbikes in the country emit such poisonous fumes which can harm lives and the environment. With transportation being a major cause of air pollution in Ghana, the World Health Organization estimates that air pollution kills an alarming 28,000 Ghanaians in a year. Thiago Henrique Dissar is WHO Technical Officer.
Air pollution today kills around 7 million people globally. For Greater Accra region, the initial estimates derived from the collaborative effort of the Urban Health Initiative show that every single year about 2,000 people die due to air pollution related conditions.
In densely congested traffic, drivers passengers and pedestrians are exposed to cocktail of harmful fumes. Acute respiratory illness caused by air pollution is one of the top 5 causes of outpatient hospital visits in the country, according to the Ghana Health Service.
Sometimes when people die and we are doing post-mortem, when we cut them open and we slice up the lungs, you see black dots in the lungs, telling you how much of these things they have inhaled over the course of their lifetime.
However, from June 2019, the Environmental Protection Agency says it has an elaborate plan to deal with the problem. Ebenezer Apa Sampong is Deputy Director of the agency.
But we've been working to introduce some motor emission control systems or programs in this country. The first block is to develop a standard for vehicle emissions, and that has been done together with the Ghana Standards Authority. So now we do have a national standards for vehicle emissions. Your vehicle will have to go through some remedial process to ensure that the engine is fixed before you can be brought back onto the road. The standard certainly will be adopted this year in June.
One of the greatest challenges the human race is confronted with is that of global warming and climate change, which is mainly caused by emission of dangerous gases, with exhaust gas known to pollute the air more often due to the increase in demand for the use of motor vehicles. In the world at large, Ghana has a lot of work to do to achieve SDG goal of ensuring good health and well-being. Henry Kwesibedu's report for Joy News.
While some motorists and passengers Joy News spoke to have welcomed the EPA's directive to clamp down on vehicles that emit smoke-forming fumes, while many of them say they will report perpetrators.
At times we feel bad because sometimes too it's not us, it's some of the car owners. Because you complain. You say, oh, you go next week when you come. Next week you won't do it. But still you too can't stay in the house, so you manage it. So if they are going to bring this kind of rules, to me it will help. Because when he won't arrest me, he will arrest the car. So that one will be good.
The EPA is coming out to clamp down on all those vehicles that have been emitting some of these smokes. I think it's the right thing to do.
Are you going to report if you see such cars emitting dangerous?
Yes, I'm ready to do that, and I'm sure other people are also ready to do that. When they come out with guidelines or steps that you can take to report some of these vehicles, I think it will be a very good initiative for us to be reporting those kind of vehicles.
Now that the sensitization is ongoing, that we should help in fishing out such culprits, I think the best thing to do is to report such. Humans as we are, you are torn in between catching up with where you are going, and so you don't take the pain to look at whether the vehicle is emitting fumes or not.
No, these fumes are hazardous to our health, so it's a good implementation, I would say. And I'll do my possible best to report any vehicle that is emitting these hazardous fumes.
To contribute for us to bring our health and problems down, because the fumes coming out is no good for our health. So if the government is bringing this policy out for us to report them, then it's a good thing.
It's extremely irritating because sometimes they even make breathing uncomfortable, especially when you are very close to them. So it's very annoying. For a very long time, there's never been a law on that. So you perhaps don't know what to do and don't know where to turn to. I want to live longer and I want my children to live longer. So I should report to help reduce ozone degradations and all this global warming thing. It's crazy. I mean, you just can't imagine this number of people dying, not because they are dying of natural causes, but dying of smoke. Something we can do something about. I mean, it's weird. It's weird.
You heard some views of motorists and passengers in Accra. So how will this new directive be enforced? Let's speak to MTTD Director in charge of Education, Research and Training, DSP Alex Kwekwobing. He joins us on the line. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for joining the program. Now, there are a lot of people who have said that this is an issue of concern to them. But for many, it is about enforcement. Tell us how you're going to enforce this new directive.
Thank you very much. First of all, let's give a background. The existing road traffic regulation, which we enforce, we go to regulation 111. It talks about discharge of oil and other substances on the road. And it charges the vehicle owner or driver not to discharge combustion products, steam, lubricating oil, and other substances, including carbon monoxide, from the exhaust of fume at certain levels on the road and in the environment when the vehicle is on the road. That has been very difficult since the enforcement began way back in 2012, because you talk about levels. What do you use to determine what didn't come along with the law? So it's important for us to understand the background.
Exactly. But now we have those standards.
And God be so good as stakeholders, we've been privy to the effort that the EP has put in and our inputs, and we expect this law to be incorporated in our LI capacity build so that DVLA can have the devices to check, and we also have a handy one or their enforcement team to partner us so that in situ or at a specific police enforcement team location, when a vehicle is approaching and per the law, the police eye detects that it might be above the limits, we will have a device to check to determine the levels, whether it's below or above, before we can gather evidence and thereof. Because it's very intricate when it comes to matters. So we are part of it. We are happy that it is coming. We hope that DVLA will have the device to check when during the next renewal under the road traffic regulation for vehicle owners who are going for re-examination certificate to be issued. So that when they are on the road, we also have the capacity, together with maybe EPA officials, to have a mobile device to also determine whether what has been examined and certified and has allowed the vehicle to be road is what the vehicle owner is constantly maintaining,
DSP,
and checking their vehicle to ensure that safer vehicles are on the road. Yes.
DSP, the EPA says they are hoping to enforce this in the middle of June this year. Are you saying that as we speak, your department doesn't have any devices to enforce the regulation?
Well, the devices, no, because for far as I'm aware, first of all, the devices for to support, first of all, when a vehicle owner avails his or a vehicle to DVLA examination, vehicle test center, will be available for such vehicles to be checked and to form part of the number of checks that are done before a roadworthiness certificate is issued under Regulation 5 of our LI. For so far as we are concerned, we also expect and we also indicated that it will be proper and convenient if the traffic law enforcer is also given, if there is any, a handy or mobile handheld device that may also assist a police officer to determine the combustion level, among others. However, we don't have it as of now. Perhaps we are going to depend on the bigger one that will be left at the DVLA office for vehicle owners to go there for their vehicle to be examined before they are certified with roadworthiness certificate.
Thank you very much for your time. You heard there the MTTD Director in charge of Education, Research and Training, DSP Alex Kweku Obeng. Now, riders of tricycles, popularly referred to as Pragia, have embarked on a demonstration through the major roads in the Techiman municipality, accusing the police of arresting and intimidating their colleagues. Hundreds of them marched to the MTTD office, Divisional Police Command and Municipal Assembly to express their displeasure at what they call the police manhandling of their colleagues. They called on government to consider legalizing the Okada and tricycle business or risk losing the 2020 elections.
The reason for our demonstration in Techima is about Okuninje. The reason why he's arresting some of our colleague drivers, sending them to jail. At the moment as I'm talking to you now, we are having 18 drivers who he sentenced them to jail. Why? Why? Because why? What is your reason?
There are no jobs in the country, and we have tried to buy these tricycles with our monies to work with. But here in Techiman, most of us are being sentenced for doing this job.
2021 legalize Okada Maya. 2020 making sure we go show now.
You heard there's some demonstrators in Techiman. Correspondent in Asabit has been following them and joins us on the line and asks, how has the Municipal Assembly been reacting to the concerns of these tricycle owners?
Well, the Municipal Chief Executive, Honorable John Kofi Dunyina, had to meet the demonstrators to calm them down and then urged them to end the demonstration, and then he promised to sit together with the police and then the leadership of these riders to solve the matter amicably. But the MC had to also call for for a debate, a wider debate on this issue of legalizing the tricycle, because I followed the demonstrations, and over thousands of them marched to the assembly. And his concern has to do with when we enforce the law that bans tricycles, it means all these numbers are going to be put out of business, and that's going to increase the number of jobless youth we are having in the country.
Looking at the number of those who came to the assembly premises this afternoon, they are about 1,000 in number. They all have been engaged as a result of this tricycle. So if you are to get them out of this job, the unemployment situation is going to increase. According to the law, they are not supposed, but we need to debate this law again. As it stands now, the law does not permit, but everywhere you go, you see them operating. So we need to discuss that law again.
You heard the MC for Techiman speaking to my colleague Anas Sabit. Away from that, government is today insisting it cannot be blamed for the importation of hundreds of guns for private use as fresh documents showing recent approval goes viral. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah yesterday alleged the previous NDC government authorized a private arms dealer to import weapons for private use. Former Deputy Minister for Interior James Agalga, however, claimed other authorizations were required to enable that dealer receive the arms which he suspects had been granted by this government. My colleague Joseph Akable has a copy of that letter that has gone viral on social media suggesting a recent approval for the same company. Joseph, what does this letter say?
So the letter is actually dated 2nd January 2018. It says application for permit to take delivery of hunting shotguns. A reference is made to MS Yadco, Ghana Limited, letter dated 28th December 2017 on the above subject. A permission is hereby granted to take delivery of the hunting shotguns from the Tema port, and it lists one item that is 2,000 hunting shotguns, and it is noted that you are granted permits by Honorable Minister for the Interior to import 4,000 hunting shotguns per letter. Then it mentions the reference number dated 5th January 2017. This permit does not require the authorization of ECOWAS.
So what is government's reaction to this being?
So government says that first the procedure is that a person is licensed to deal in arms. Once the person has that license, he goes for a permit at the Interior Ministry to import the arms. They say once you get that authorization, you take it over to the police and you are allowed to clear and take delivery of them. They say nowhere will you be denied access to take delivery of your arms once you already have authorization to import it, unless in very strange circumstances. And government goes on to make the point that as it stands now, it is monitoring the space and carrying out an audit of all permits that have been granted.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable. The chairman of the Advisory Council of the International Action Network on Small Arms, Bafo Dochi Amwa, says it will be good for government to track and monitor the use of arms by private individuals.
The ECOWAS Convention on Small Arms and Light Weapons, which governments agreed and signed, demands proper accountability of weapons and arms. And so definitely not having adequate data is not the best. I think efforts should be made to make sure that imports are monitored, accounted for, and then when something happens, we'll be able to, as it were, identify where the challenges are. But the fact that weapons can be officially brought into the country and we have no accounting of these weapons, it should be a matter of concern to all.
You heard the chairman of the Advisory Council of the International Action Network on Small Arms, Bafo Dochi Amwa. Meanwhile, government says it's yet to decide whether to impose a ban on the importation of arms for private use. Kojo Nkrumah is Information Minister.
So, as I speak to you, there is an audit of all the permits that have been issued. Indeed, it is as a result of that audit that we discovered that this permit, pursuant to which this importation has been done, was actually issued 2 days to the handing over of power. When all of that exercise is concluded, whatever the findings be that are required to be put in the public domain, we'll do so and put them in the public domain. I think your viewers and your listeners are aware that this country has a legal regime that governs the use of arms or the importation of arms, and for those who have justifiable reason so to import or to use arms, they do it in accordance with the law. But as at now, that general audit is ongoing of all the permits that have been issued, of all outstanding consignments. And as and when that is done, any additional information will be made available. It is only curious that in this instance, the people who issued this permit are the ones shouting the loudest that something untoward has happened. And we think that the people of Ghana must be given this information, even in these early stages.
Information Minister Kojo Ponkrumah there. You're listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Benis Abubedu-Lansa. Coming up.
Are you allowed to like Shatawale and Stoneboy? Because I like them both. It's good.
And you have to choose one, Stoneboy or Shatawale.
Shatta Stoneboy.
that doesn't work.
Stoneboy Wale.
Well, we've got details that the British High Commissioner to Ghana chose the perfect answer when he was asked to choose between two top dancehall artists in Ghana. Thanks for staying. I appreciate your company. It's now time for sports.
Yes, Bernice. Now, Kumasi and Takoradi have been in the news the last 24 hours over a bribery allegation in the ongoing special competition. A retired referee, Robert Tebia Mensah, is alleging that one Kofi Odro, who claims to have close ties with Asante Kotoko Executive Chairman Dr. Kwame Chey, is demanding a refund of a supposed 8,000 Ghana cedis he paid to match officials in their 1-0 defeat to Ashanti Gold last week. Love FM's Kelvin Owusu-Ansah joins us on the line now. Kevin, how big is this in the Ashanti regional capital?
Well, it's very big, and especially when Asante Kotoko had very high hopes of performing very well in the Special Cup after their performance in the CAF Confederations Cup. A lot of surprise have come as in a team that engaged in better games than their other competitors who were idle in Ghana to be paying money to referees just to influence games, especially when it comes from no other person but someone who is very close to the executive board chairman, Dr. Kwame Chey. There's been a lot of talk about this. Some have been disappointed. A section of the fans and then their supporters, leaders have been dumbfounded by this, but they still have hope and support in your management, hoping for the best in the coming days. As a statement has been issued by the club, trying to, isolate itself and from any other activities that Sheshala is engaging in.
Do you know this guy? Is he very, very close to the Kotoko's executive chairman?
Well, yes, he's someone who is normally seen with the executive board chairman, and it's almost every now and then when you move around the sports hotel or the Unity group of companies.
So you heard Kelvin Owusu-Ansah reporting from Kumasi, but before I go, Benes, there's another tantalizing story. A club chairman went onto the pitch, slapped his goalkeeper because he suspected him as betting, or for betting. He suspected he was betting, and he considered 2 cheap goals in that defeat. And he said, no, I can't tolerate this one. Gave him some dirty slaps, and that was it.
Betting seems to be causing a lot of trouble in the game, but I'm sure you focus on that some other time. Let's move on. Chairman of Parliament's Gender, Children and Social Protection Committee, Dr. Kojo Appiah-Kubi, wants the police CID to focus on finding the 3 missing Takoradi girls. The police has over the past months been engaged in a search for the girls, with other parts of the country similarly hit by kidnappings and abductions. Dr. Kubi tells Joy News communication from the police on the matter so far has not been impressive, causing families to be worried amidst calls for the CID boss to step aside. He was speaking on Upfront on Multi TV with Raymond Akwa.
Well, certain things have happened in connection with these recent kidnappings, and especially the involvement of the police in the public domain and the press conferences that they've held. I don't think that they've all to put together the augur well for the image of the police service. No, certain statements were made which were not very good, which shouldn't have been made. We should be acting more than be talking. That is what I will tell myself. that there should be more action rather than holding press conferences, press briefings, and talking.
Now, let me ask this question because 3 civil society groups, including the Vice President of Imani Ghana, have said they will not be out of place for the CID boss to be asked to step aside on this matter.
It's their right to demand that.
On this matter.
My advice would be that we need to be circumspect. We need probably to wait a little bit.
Dr. Kubi also revealed the gender and interior ministers will be asked to brief the nation when Parliament resumes.
Parliament reopens. I hope that the whole nation will get a good briefing from the minister. And not only from the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, but preferably from the Minister for Interior. Because they superintend the operations of the police.
Have they already been invited, or you are now going to demand that?
We will, they have given us briefing.
Dr. Kojo Appiah-Kubi, Chairman of Parliament's Gender, Children and Social Protection Committee, speaking to Raymond Akwa there on Upfront on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Now, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah has meanwhile urged the public to volunteer information to assist the police find the girls rather than make calls for the CID boss to step aside.
I think that at this point in time, the best conversation is how do we get more information out? How do we get, I mean, it's not possible that it is only this single gentleman who knows everything about these girls, and that apart from this gentleman, nobody else has information. Somebody will have information out. Already there's been some preliminary information that has been gathered by the security agencies, and they inform us that they are working on a high-level collaborative operation with agencies both locally and internationally to try and deal with that matter.
Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah there, away from the 3 missing Takoradi girls. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman says the lack of a forensic audit report on the Central Medical Stores fire is hampering prosecution of the suspected arsonist. In 2015, medical supplies worth some $80 million were destroyed in an inferno. Investigations after the incident blamed it on arson. There have been concerns by Ghanaian civil society groups and some foreign missions on why the suspects have not been prosecuted. Listen to former U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Robert Jackson's call for prosecution on this matter. He spoke to Ghana Web in March 2018.
There's definitely been progress with the creation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the appointment of Mr. Amadou, but we need to now see him actually prosecute people. I personally have been very troubled that no one has been prosecuted for the Tana Central Medical Stores fire, because we saw almost $80 million worth of commodities go up in flames. We know who the culprits were. Those people should be on trial by now.
They see the rules of justice going slowly. Perhaps aren't you just rushing the system?
Well, yesterday when he took his turn at the Meet the Press series, the health minister said prosecution has delayed due to the absence of a forensic report.
Having finished forensic audit, you can't take anybody to court. Technically, you stand likely to lose your case. Unfortunately, evidence has been destroyed because 3 days after the fire outbreak, under the guise that they were going to redevelop the Central Medical Stores, a contractor who was doing some work somewhere was mobilized to the site, and after he clearing the entire place of all evidence that could have been gathered for forensic work,
Health Minister Kweku Agyeman there. Now, he's been in Ghana for over 2 years, and apart from his love for Wache and Tozafi, the United Kingdom's High Commissioner to Ghana, Ian Walker, has identified something unique about Ghanaians. Well, he shared his thoughts about the Ghanaian on the drive chat with Lexus Bill last night.
So people never saying no. No one ever says no. Because I think everyone is so polite, and it's clearly quite. See, to me it seems, and maybe I'm wrong, but to me it seems that everyone's so polite, so they don't like to say, "Oh, I disagree with you," or "No." They will say that yes, but they won't necessarily agree at all. So you can be left with the impression everything's fine when actually it's not. And I think that's quite. It's not so much I'd like to change. It's something I'm a guest in your country. That's for me. That's for me to adapt to. But it's different. I find that unusual for me. That's one of the things that I'm learning.
Well, he also said he had some interesting people that he supported in terms of music. It's now time for social media, and Maps joins me. And I know that one thing that's been trending is the highly anticipated finale of the Game of Thrones. Now, if you're a lover of the HBO series, then you know what we mean when we say that winter is here. Well, so is the countdown to the final episode, which is upon us. But already there's a petition calling on makers of the series to redo season 8, and this has been signed by more than 500,000 disgruntled fans. So, Maps, why do these fans want season 8 redone?
All right, the latest series of the popular show based on George R.R. Martin's book has faced a lot of criticism online. Now, disappointed viewers have taken within the show as narrative structure and the fate of beloved characters. You know, a lot of people are complaining about the people that have been killed on the show, so they want a whole rewrite, new writers to be involved, and they want a whole new season 8.
Thanks, Maps, and that's what is trending. But before I go, let's tell you what the United Kingdom's High Commissioner to Ghana, Ian Walker, had to say when he was put on the spot by Drive Time host Lexus Bill to choose a favorite artist.
Incredible. Are you allowed to like Shatta Wally and Stoneboy? Because I'm in if you were to draw the Venn diagram, I'm one of the few people in that middle bit.